deal with, right? If I know like, okay, I'm just gonna be working at ShopRite or just your random supermarket, whatever.
KC.
I'm capped out as to what type of women I could obtain, and most of you women probably not gonna date somebody
You
who's
girl.
working at the cash register, right? And I won't blame you for it because you probably want more for your life. You probably want somebody who's going to be able to provide better, so you could have a more relaxed, soft, whatever life you want, right? For you, yourself, and your children, right? So if that's what I do, then I have to recognize that I'm gonna have a much smaller pool to choose from. It's the same type of thing. If we don't prepare ourselves, if just like if I'm fat as hell, if I decide to get fat, I'm going to have less of a pool of women that I have access to, and I'd have to accept that. I can't get mad at the game and then say, "Hey, y'all got to start liking fat dudes," or "Y'all got to start messing with broke dudes." Like it is what it is.
It's this narrative that like femininity and masculinity is very much so a box. Like, okay, perfect example, right? You know, a joke that me and my husband have all the time. He laughs, like we'll watch shows like Love Island or like Below Deck, right? And it's a lot of like YT people on these shows. So he's like, them men be looking like they're having a great time. Like, and they'll like say something that in the black community, a black man will be like, oh no, we can't act like that. We can't say this. We can't do that. It seems like our community is the only community that is obsessed with we gotta fit into the box, or I don't like you and you're never gonna get picked. And it's very disheartening when if you decided as a man today or tomorrow that you liked sewing, so now I'm going to call you gay for it, or like she brought up power tools. That's I don't think that those are the things that should define femininity and masculinity. Like we're talking about bullshit hobbies that people pick up because they're like, "Oh yeah, one day I realized I didn't have a wife yet and I needed to know how to sew my buttons on my shirt." And now we're gonna like tell that man like he's not man enough to ever get picked, or we're gonna tell that woman because she doesn't have a husband right now and she knows how to change her own tire, she's not
Glacier,
feminine
Glacier,
enough to be picked.
Glacier,
That's what it sounded like to
has
me.
it occurred to you that what the market, and when we say market, we're talking about an overwhelming majority of the people that you want to position yourself to be a desirable mate for? Do you think that their perception counts in you being selected, or it even matters in you being pursued as a suitable mate?
Well, I guess that I can admit that I don't have the ability to give that answer because I was 18.
What if I told you is all
So
it
the
takes?
last time I knew what the market
What if I
was,
told you all it take was because you claim you're the most educated, you the most degree. It just take the same amount of effort it took you to be able to learn how to use a power tool in the garage, to be able to study the market, to figure out what most men want. And if you study it and learn it, you can use it as a cheat code, as a blueprint to optimize yourself for the person you desire. Would you believe it?
I believe what you're saying, but what that also sounds like to me is that I have to cheat code the person that I want
It's the
to want
same
me.
thing. It's the same thing on
No,
ZipRecruiter, on Monster.com, on LinkedIn. When you look at the job position, just I think this is the same example he gave. You could actually look at the qualifications and requirements to be able to win the position, and then go and get those qualifications and
But
meet
what
those
if that's
requirements.
really not who you are? What if you aren't
Well, then
Susie
you don't get the
Homemaker?
job. Then you don't get the
you.
job.
Yeah,
So you're
it's almost
telling
like what
me
men
that
like.
there's nobody out there like that is the 200-pound woman's never gonna get chose, or the woman that
No, he
likes
didn't
to
say
do
that.
mechanic
We
work
didn't
is
say
never
that.
gonna
He
get
said that they
chose.
got
No,
chosen. You know why they did? Because they recalibrated themselves. They optimize themselves for the man they want. That's why they can have these 600-pound life shows and have a man. But it's not the man they want. The thing is, I think that this the argument is it's not about the man. Anybody can get a man. That's not a flex. This was his words. Because I'm not trying to steal his
Yeah, he
voice.
said anybody can get a man. It's
But
about getting the man
it's
you
about
want.
getting the man that you desire. Can you
Mhm.
do that? That's the whole argument a lot of times on these panels.
but it's the same thing that men have to deal with, right? If I know like, okay, I'm just gonna be working at ShopRite or just your random supermarket, whatever.
KC,
I'm capped out as to what type of women I could obtain. And most of you women probably not going to date somebody
you
who's
girl.
working at the cash register, right? And I won't blame you for it because you probably want more for your life. You probably want somebody who's going to be able to provide better so you could have a more relaxed, soft, whatever life you want, right? For you, yourself, and your children, right? So if that's what I do, then I have to recognize that I'm going to have a much smaller pool to choose from. It's the same type of thing. If we don't prepare ourselves, just like if I'm fat as hell, if I decide to get fat, I'm going to have less of a pool of women that I have access to. And I'd have to accept that. I can't get mad at the game and then say, hey, y'all got to start liking fat dudes or y'all got to start messing with broke dudes. Like, it is what it is. Females want what they want. Men want what they want. We're not trying to shame people for their preferences unless it's just completely unrealistic and you're not doing anything to put yourself in a position to obtain that person. That's the problem.
And that's why you see a lot of DEI hires get dropped, because a lot of those people were put in position because of a organization or some type of funding allowed that to happen. But those people would not be in that position if they weren't qualified for it, which is the reason why they were dropped. So many of them were let go. So we gotta start embracing that. I mean, you don't have to. Remember, Laisha, you don't have to change your position on this. You're a married woman. We're not. It don't apply to you. Fuck it. But we have to start looking at everything. You know, the same. You know, it's the same thing if you trying to accomplish something. In all things that you do, if you're trying to achieve something, there are steps. You know, there's requirements. There's qualifications. It can be the same for the man you want. And to Trev's point, vice versa, it can be the same for the woman the man wants. And we would argue early. We're faced with this reality much earlier than y'all, which is why we have a cemented understanding of it, because we were faced with this as early as 17, 18. We had to start off as young men embracing this. Y'all don't have to embrace this until y'all down on y'all peak value. That's when it hits you. You done went through 20, 30 years of not having to deal with it or not having to look at it as an importance, because it never really applied to you because you came into the game already at the top. Us, we had to come out of the fucking mud. Y'all are going into the mud, and it's a hard reality. What's up, Casey? I know you got to say something.
Hey, you guys. Hi, panel. How are y'all doing
What up,
tonight?
Casey?
Hi.
I miss y'all.
Welcome back.
Oh man. I've been supporting in the cloud or however they say it. I watch and keep up with y'all, but no, I just wanted to tell Leisha I started watching late, so I missed the clip. I did not think at all the conversation was like directed towards one person. So I just wanted to say I didn't me being a person in the audience and I miss the clip being played, me listening to the whole show starting a little bit later, it the whole show didn't seem like it was based on one person.